Amyloidosis. Well, the word amyloid, it's a protein. And what is amyloid? It's a misfolded protein that accumulates in extracellular, means this is cell, this is blood vessel, and the space between them is extracellular space. The damaged tissue is accumulated there. Amyloid can't be removed, and if it's damaged, it damages the organ. The damaged organ must be transplanted because it cannot be removed. It sticks to the extracellular space like a fucking glue. Okay, why we need to why we even need to fold the proteins? Why folding needed? Well, ribosomes, these are long chain of the long chain of amino acids. Protein only works if the chain folds up into a specific 3D structure. So ribosomes, they make these protein structure, and they have to be folded into specific 3D structure so that the protein can be used for their specific purpose. Okay. uh, what are the characteristics of amyloid? Misfolded protein that have beta sheet arrangement. What is beta sheet arrangement? When protein are misfolded, they adapt into beta strand shape. Many beta strand shape, they stack on each other and then they make cross beta pattern. Well, for example, this is one amyloid sheet, right? The another amyloid sheet will be like this. So this is one, another will here, another one will here. So it will keep on going and it will cross link like this. Okay, so misfolded protein have beta sheet arrangement. That's very important to remember. Beta sheet. Amyloids are Congo red positive on in the lab. Amyloids are Congo red positive. They appear purple. They appear purple red. So not purple red. They appear Congo red, and they appear apple green under polarized light. So when we give them UV rays, they absorb this UV rays, and we get apple green color on amyloid. So A for amyloid, A for apple green. Okay, amyloid can be deposited systematically and locally. Systematically means via blood, right? They can travel. Locally means in a local environment. Okay, so what are two types of systematic amyloidosis? Primary means small, I will tell you. Secondary means big. So this is one Ig body. Yes, it's made up of light chain and heavy chain. So light chain is this part, heavy chain is this big part. Okay, so Ig bodies, immunoglobulins, are made up of light chain plus heavy chain. So if the light chains are getting deposited, it means it's a primary amyloidosis. If the heavy chains are depositing, it means it's a secondary chain amyloidosis. So immunoglobulin need to have balance of these light chain and positive chains. So the ratio between light chain and positive heavy chain has to be same throughout the whole thing. So Ig have to be same. Okay, so what is primary amyloidosis? Primary amyloidosis when Ig, immunoglobulin light chain, deposits systematically in form of Al amyloids. Al. So light chain getting deposited, primary amyloidosis. It's called primary amyloidosis. It's associated with plasma cell dyscrasias. Plasma cell dyscrasias. Wow, nice name. So plasma cell dyscrasias, it means it's a disease, dyscrasias. So when plasma cells make ton of light chain, they will deposit. That's it. Plasma cell dyscrasias. So I think when this ratio is getting disturbed, we have more light chain, then we have primary amyloidosis. Okay, secondary amyloidosis. What is secondary? When SAA chain. What is SAA chain? Well, what is SAA chain? Okay, so SAA, serum amyloid A, right? So AL amyloid and AA amyloid amyloidosis. So wait, let's study this. Secondary amyloidosis when SAA protein deposits systematically in the form of AA amyloid. Here we have AL amyloid, there we have AA amyloid. So the whole confusion rises from AL and AA. So AA amyloid and AL are two different type of amyloid proteins, and they are associated with different diseases, right? So AA amyloid, it's derived from serum amyloid A, SAA. AA comes from SAA, all right, and it happens in chronic inflammatory diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, TB, bronchiectasis, osteomyelitis, family Mediterranean fever, and it's secondary reactive amyloidosis. Okay, and it appears, this AA appears apple green, right, under polaroid skin. Whereas this amyloidosis, AL amyloidosis, it comes from immunoglobulin light chain, AL. Okay, L stands for light chain right here. So these plasma cell dyscrasias like multiple myeloma, right? So this multiple myeloma disease is like plasma cell dyscrasia where we have increase in light chain production. This leads to primary amyloidosis. So where it happens, this primary amyloidosis, well, it happens in heart, right? For example, restrictive cardiomyopathy, right? And it happens in kidney, it happens in nerves, it happens in tongue, right? So it shows light chain. So L stands for light chain. AA comes from secondary amyloidosis. So AA, the A stands for acute phase reactant, SAA, okay? And AL, the AL in L stands for light chain. Always remember this. So A is acute, okay, acute phase reactant that leads to chronic inflammation after some time, and AL in L stands for light chain. Okay, I hope it's clear. Secondary, it's when the SAA protein deposits systematically in form of AA. It's called secondary amyloidosis. SAA is acute phase reactant. That is increased in chronic inflammatory states such as malignancy and familial Mediterranean fever. Okay, so SAA. What is SAA? This is SAA forms AA, right? And SAA apolipoprotein liver, right? So SAA made in apolipo in liver. So this is serum amyloid A. It binds with HDL, and it's modulate immune response. So we need SAA in this form. Okay, so primary light chain, secondary AA, primary AL, secondary AA. Okay, malignancy, family Mediterranean fever. Okay, let's talk about family Mediterranean fever. Interesting name. Familial means genetic, Mediterranean is a region, fever is fever, high fever. Okay, not the region but the genetics. Cool. It's very high yield. How? So it is governed by something called as MEFU gene. Okay, and it's almost autosomal recessive. It means you have to have biallelic mutation in both genes from your father and from your mother. It's genetic disease. It's genetic disease with dysfunction of neutrophils not working, that causes systemic amyloidosis. Amyloids are getting deposit. It usually seen in people with Mediterranean origin. Well, it's not Mediterranean, it's genetic. It's seen with MEFU gene, and patient have high SAA, that is secondary amyloidosis, that deposit of AA amyloid. Patient may present with acute fever, serosal inflammation. Serosal means layer. Serosa is a thin slippery outer layer. So serosal inflammation of heart, right? And it might mimic MI, right? It mimics MI. It's not an MI, it just mimics MI. And serosal inflammation of the gut, it may mimic appendicitis. Right flank pain, appendicitis. Okay, so mimic appendicitis, mimic MI. What are the classical findings of systemic amyloidosis? Well, if it's systemic, it means it's going to all organs. Kidney is most commonly involved. So nephrotic, protein leaking more than 3.5 in 24 hours. So protein leaking, nephrotic syndrome. Restrictive cardiomyopathy. Restrictive means heart cannot beat properly. If it's restrictive, it means it cannot relax. So diastolic function is messed up. So what is systemic? Myocardial infarction, amyloid deposits there. Non-compliant valve leads to diastolic function really bad. Okay, another way how amyloid can mess up: hepatosplenomegaly. Hepato size increases, spleen size increases, so their size increases, and malabsorption also increases. And then you have large tongue. Why you have large tongue? Well, tongue is made up of skeleton muscle plus a lot of interstitial space. Now in this interstitial space, you guys have a lot of amyloid deposits. So it's a cool phase for amyloids. So amyloid deposits in large tongue, right? Malabsorption because your gut is not able to absorb a lot of things. Hepatosplenomegaly, increase in size. If it's increase in size, it means it's reversible, okay? But if this hepatosplenomegaly and on microscope we see a lot of amyloid bodies, then it's very unfortunate. We cannot do anything. We have to change the organ, change the disease, change the organ. The thing is, concept is that you cannot remove amyloid bodies. You have to get organ transplant. That's it. So how do you diagnose amyloidosis? Well, it requires something called tissue biopsy, right? You put some needle inside, get some tissue outside, and you see it under one microscope. Requires tissue biopsy. Needs to be Congo red positive. This is Congo red positive is the characteristic of amyloidosis. Congo red. Cherry red was for carbon monoxide poisoning, and Congo red is for this biopsy. And apple green is for SAA. Okay. So requires tissue biopsy, need to be Congo red positive. Usually takes from rectum because rectum has a lot of interstitial space, and abdominal fat pads because these also have a lot of abdominal interstitial space, and you guys have a lot of chance of accumulation of amyloids. Okay. So describe senile cardiac amyloidosis. Senile means old, cardiac means cardiac, amyloidosis means amyloidosis. Okay. A type of local amyloidosis because it's happening in old people in a cardiac way. Why? It's caused due to deposition of non-mutated serum transthyretin in the heart. Okay. So what is transthyretin? Transthyretin is the second most common protein found in the blood. Okay. So when these transthyretin they start to accumulate in the heart, we call it senile cardiac amyloidosis. It happens in older people. Now usually this thing is very asymptomatic, okay, and it happens for more than usually asymptomatic and seen in 25% of people who are more than 80-year-old. So it's a long chronic condition. So NMST, non-mutated. This is non-mutated, and it is a serum transthyretin. So this protein, if this protein starts building up at the heart, you guys will see amyloidosis. It's a local amyloidosis, senile, seen in old people. Okay. Described familial amyloid cardiomyopathy. It's a local amyloidosis again. It's a local tissue, not systemic. Not serum amyloidosis increases, right? Serum is normal. So it's caused due to deposition of muted serum transthyretin again. So if it is a local amyloidosis, it usually follows transthyretin route. So caused due to deposition of mutated serum transthyretin in the heart, leads to restrictive cardiomyopathy. The heart cannot relax, heart cannot diastole properly. Usually seen in African Americans, 5% carry mutation. Okay, so African American, they love this amyloid transthyretin. Black people, they love it. Not black in terms, African Americans. Old people, they love transthyretin. African Americans, they love transthyretin. So yeah, these two topics done. Describe how type 2 diabetic has local amyloidosis in it. Okay, that's very interesting. So due to insulin resistance, so how insulin resistance happens? Insulin resistance happens by when you eat every day a lot, and then this food, this carb is going to stimulate pancreatic beta cells, islet of Langerhans, and then you guys have a lot of stimulation, and then it will lead to something called a desensitization of beta cells, and then insulin will not be released. So due to insulin resistance, pancreas produce lots of insulin, right? Pancreas produces lots of insulin as a response of insulin resistance. Okay, so the byproduct of is amylin. So always remember that the beta cells, they produce I think peptide C and insulin and this amylin together. Okay, so amylin and insulin, they are released together from the beta cells of Langerhans. So there are alpha cells, beta cells, and then there are gamma and delta, right? And so the beta cells of Langerhans, they produce amylin, peptide C, and insulin together. So byproduct amylin is also produced, and that deposit in the islet of pancreas, and this causes amyloidosis together. Okay, describe how Alzheimer has local amyloidosis in it. So there's something called a beta amyloid precursor protein called BAP. So amyloid precursor protein called BAPP, amyloid on chromosome 21. So what happens in Alzheimer's is that usually patient with Down syndrome, they have 3 copies of chromosome 21, right? And they make something called as AB amyloid plaques, right? And how these plaques are made? These AB amyloid plaques are made from these beta amyloid protein, right? So this beta amyloid protein makes AB amyloid plaque. Most individuals with Down syndrome have Alzheimer by the age of 40 years old, okay? Because they have 3 copies of chromosome 21. This protein called beta amyloid precursor protein, okay? BAPP. BAPP makes AB amyloid plaques, and this is a local deposition, and this is how the Alzheimer, messes up. Describe how dialysis can cause. Well, again, beta. So beta 2 microglobulins, it's one of a protein. It is a protein that structurally supports MCH1 on cell surface. So it's a part of MCH1. Why do I say MCH1? It's a part of MHC1 molecule. So beta 2 microglobulin, it's a part of MHC type 1 molecule. And in dialysis, what happens is that this beta 2 microglobulin is not filtered well from the blood. And then when it's not filtered well from the blood, what happens is that beta 2 microglobulin, it builds up in the joints and it causes amyloidosis. So all the patients who are going on regular dialysis must check for this beta 2 accumulation, beta 2 microglobulins accumulation. They must keep check of this, because it's a long chronic condition, so it can, it can be very insipidus in nature. Describe how medullary thyroid cancer can cause local amyloidosis in thyroid. So medullary thyroid cancer, it means in the medulla thyroid, okay, causes amyloidosis. How? In MTC, medullary thyroid cancer, overproduction of calcitonin. We know in thyroid there is this is follicular cell, and then we have something parafollicular, right? So follicular cell make T3, T4, and parafollicular cells make calcitonin. Okay, so overproduction of calcitonin leads to formation of calcitonin amyloid plaque in thyroid. On FNA, fine needle aspiration of thyroid, seeing tumor cells in amyloid background make MTC more probable. So if you have any sort of cancer in these parafollicular cells in medullary thyroid cancer, you have overproduction of calcitonin, and yes, then it will lead to this calcitonin amyloid plaque deposition. And then, so for local amyloidosis, we have seen multiple examples. Okay, so systemic, we see let's revise. So familial Mediterranean, family genetic is messed up, Mediterranean MEFU gene messed up, dysfunction of neutrophils, systemic causation of amyloidosis, right? It's systemic. It mimic MI, it's not MI, it mimic appendicitis. And serosal inflammation is seen in family of Mediterranean people, right? Okay, systemic amyloidosis, another classical finding. So whenever you see systemic amyloidosis, you will see large tongue, you will see malabsorption due to this serosal inflammation, you will see hepatosplenomegaly, you will see restricted myocardiomyopathy. What else? Kidney is damaged because it's the amyloids are flowing throughly in the blood, so kidney is messed up. Okay, so we see senile is local, familial. So Mediterranean is systemic, and familial cardiomyopathy is systemic. Type 2 diabetes is systemic. Alzheimer is systemic. Dialysis, beta 2 microglobulin is systemic. Beta amyloid is systemic. Medullary thyroid is systemic. So whenever you see any sort of specific enzymes or any sort of specific precursor protein that is leading to amyloidosis is usually systemic. Okay, and if you see some sort of kidney is getting messed up, heart is getting messed up together, it's systemic. And if you see any sort of precursor protein, it's not systemic, it's local. Okay, so amyloids, we're done. Amyloids are misfolded proteins. Congo red, apple green, beta sheet arrangement. Systemic, local, primary amyloidosis, secondary, primary for light chain, secondary for AA, AL, we know this. Okay, restrictive type 2, deposit islet pancreas, amylin type C, peptide type C, and insulin secreted together from beta cells of pancreas. Okay, done.